Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Blake Barrett, and today I am going to be presenting to you on wearable technology in sports. So let me set the scene for you. It is the 2012 NBA playoffs. The Chicago Bulls are playing the Philadelphia 76ers, and in the fourth quarter, star point guard Derrick Rose of the Chicago Bulls goes down and is clutching his left knee. It was diagnosed that he had a torn ACL, and his season was over, as were the hopes of the Chicago Bulls winning the NBA championship. The year before, he had just become the youngest player in NBA history to win MVP, and now his career was never the same with this injury. And he suffered the same fate that many athletes suffer every year, and that is because of injuries. So again, my name is Blake Barrett. I've played sports my entire life. I played football, baseball, and basketball in high school. So I've been around injuries. I've been around the newer technologies with sports and how to prevent injuries. So just a quick statistic here. According to the American Physical Therapy Association, about 2.9 million athletes are injured playing sports each year in the United States. That is a very large number, and it doesn't have to be that high. And to add on top of that, about 100,000 people will tear their ACL just like Derrick Rose did in the next year. But what if these injuries were, what if there's a way to recognize these injuries before they actually happened? So, just to reiterate, that injuries are prevalent across sports, but also internal body metrics are very difficult to track as well, like such as heart rate or internal core temperature. And coaches also can't analyze players all the time. So a few technologies that have come up in the past few years have tried to deal with these issues. One of these is the Zenith football helmet. It is now very, very common across the NFL. It has this technology where it absorbs the blow instead of the athlete's head absorbing the blow, and it has saved a lot of concussions, but it is just now being implemented. Another type of technology is like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, which is just what everyday people have, not even these superstar athletes. These can track heart rate, and then in turn you can track how much energy you're exerting through this. And there's another type of technology called video recording and computer digitization, and it measures human movement to maximize athletic performance. So it's basically filming your athletes and tracking their specific motions, such as like hooking up sensors to them and watching their movements on a computer. And these all combined decrease injury and increase athletic performance, and this is why it's the future of sports. So according to Ohio University, the Toronto Raptors in 2012 had the highest player injury rate in the NBA, and they started implementing wearable technology, and in 2014 they had the lowest injury rate. And there's a simple explanation for that. It was the use of wearable technology. They were able to measure their athletes' exertion through practices and games, and they were able to monitor what stresses their body might be under, and they were able to achieve this feat very quickly. Just another quick example of how this technology is used. Howard University, they track their athletes' body metrics, and for a typical 100-degree Fahrenheit day practice, they were keeping track of internal core temperature. And they noticed one of their athletes' internal core temperature was rising pretty quickly. So they took him out, hydrated him, treated him, and he was back on the field very quickly, compared to him having, say, a heat stroke or collapsing because he can't breathe quick enough. Whatever the case may be, they prevented a serious injury because they were able to detect it before it happened. So also, you can see on this graph here, the sales on wearable technology have skyrocketed in recent years, So more people are buying it, more people are using it, and therefore everybody is boosting their athletic performance. Maybe even regular people are just boosting their own physical performance through Fitbits or Apple Watches, things like that. So it is the future, and it is only going to increase from now as well. A counter argument for this would be that they're too expensive, and they don't have enough benefit to because they are pretty expensive. It's all new technology, and they don't make them in as much they don't have as much production to keep the prices down. But this is just simply not true. I mean, if you can boost your athlete's performance while also preventing them from being injured, it is definitely worth how much you are spending for it. And it's only going to go down because research is going up for these types of products as well. To summarize all of this, it comes down to adapt or be left behind. If you aren't going to use this technology, other programs will, and you will fall behind. It's just plain and simple. You're going to be having more athletes that are injured, or less. Your athletes will have worse technique because coaches can't be analyzing your players all the time and things like that. So it's pretty simple. These teams have to adjust and get into using these wearable technologies, or else they won't be able to compete anymore. So just another example of how this is relevant. In the 2019 NBA Finals, Kevin Durant was injured but had just come back, and in his first game he tore his Achilles. And it was on the same, I believe it was on the same injury or same leg that was already injured. And a lot of people, this drew a lot of questions for a lot of people, because they were like, did the trainers bring him back too early? Was he rushing it? Etc., etc. And if you had wearable technology, this wouldn't have happened. You could see through wearable technology that how much stress his Achilles, in this sense, was under, or his entire leg, and the trainers would be able to know that he wasn't ready. If they sit him back one more game, Golden State may have won its third straight championship. You never know. Another great example is Junior Seau. He was a Hall of Fame NFL linebacker who is mostly known for now with his concussion issues and CTE. And if, say, Zenith helmets were around then and prevented half of his concussions, or maybe even just a third, maybe he wouldn't have developed such bad depression, and maybe he would still be here with us today. So also, if you were to think about just like an average high school athlete, or maybe just a little above average, but not good enough to play collegiately, if you implement wearable technology in these players from a young age, from at least high school, all the way through high school, if this player is getting his technique improved and his energy maximized, he is improving much faster than any other athletes. And he will be at a much higher level than the other athletes in his school or his conference, and he will be able to play collegiately or professionally. It's pretty simple. It really does help. And so also, even with your own, like you in the crowd, you can wear a Fitbit or an Apple Watch to see how much energy you're exerting. I use on the treadmills, which is not really a wearable technology, but I track my heart rate on those, and I can tell how much energy I'm exerting, and therefore I'm maximizing my performance because I know what energy I want to be, how much energy I want to be using. So in all, sports competition will just rise. It's plain and simple. Your athletes will be better conditioned, they will have better technique, they will improve much faster and be much better athletes. And again, I'm going to bring up the point that programs have to adapt or they will be left behind. It doesn't get any simpler than that. These technologies need to be used, and these teams that aren't using them need to start using them. So I'm going to open up the floor for questions now. Thank you for listening, and just know that wearable technology is the future, and the future is now. Thank you.